Okay, I am abandoning this project. This game is fucking terrible. It's refuse. It's garbage. It's phenomenally bad in every way. Everything you've ever heard about how terrible this game is beyond true. The ammunition, the dumpster bread, the... I mean, they took out lockpickings, combined it with multi-tools. You can't log into anything. You can't manually input codes. You can't... I mean, the loading screens. I thought if I could just get over the loading screens, I could continue and, you know, strive some enjoyment out of this game, but no. It's just... It doesn't work. Not at all. This game is one of the worst games I've ever played, and I'm not doing it anymore. I don't know why I enjoyed this game. Maybe it was better, or I don't know. I hadn't played as many good games. I don't know. I mean, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't even beat it. I didn't even get halfway. I don't even think I got far past Egypt. The first time I played it, I don't know. I know I got a little bit into it, and I don't know. My memory was kind of foggy, I guess. But, yeah, this game it's over. I'm done. No more. Wait. Okay, yeah, I was recording. Good to know. What else? The universal ammunition is retarded. Hold on. Let me, hold on a sec. Okay, I'm gonna read you some reviews. And, we'll see what, people have to say. These are off of Game FAQs, fan reviews. Deus Ex 2 is probably the greatest disappointment I've ever played. The first Deus Ex was one of my favorites, and Deus Ex 2 is trash compared to it. Everything everyone has ever said about this game is absolutely true. This is a dumbed down version of Deus Ex 1. I don't even think it's fair to call it that. It's barely. The only thing I really liked was the story. There's too many things I don't like about this game. One, it doesn't run smoothly on my PC. Two, universal ammo. This change is something I really hate. I hate it as much as I hate the totally stupid small longsword rules of D&D 3.5. Basically, it is truly an attempt to fix something that wasn't broken, with disastrous results. What this change results in is that it encourages you to use the same weapon over and over again. Once you get the sniper rifle, you will hardly need to use any other weapon. 3. Speaking of it, weapons in this game are really screwed up by Ion. Some of them have been weakened absurdly, especially the stun rod, which has to be weakened to the point of worthlessness. The AI has been one of the weak points of Deus Ex. Ironstorm had promised us huge improvements to it, but these promises all turned out to be dust in the end. This is very bad. The lack of AI strength makes the game far too easy. For a game like Deus Ex, it is simply not fun when there's no challenge involved. 5. The game is far too short and far too easy. I could actually count the number of times I died in the game. 5 times and completed it in 2 days. I'm very certain you could find people that complete the game with more ease than me. No reload. This is another stupid and totally pointless change. I don't know what that means. Like, you can't reload your guns? The RPG elements of the original have more or less been totally removed. I've always thought that the old skill system was too simple and undeveloped, and I would expect a more complicated skill system resembling that of System Top 2 or No One Lives Forever 2. But no, Ironstorm had to completely remove it. In its place is a more complicated biomod system that in fact gives you less choice than Deus Ex 1 because you can only hold 5 mods. Why do they call it complicated? Because they put shit like hacking into mods, I guess. Then again, you could probably complete this game without using any biomod. Blah blah blah. That's why it's a failure. It's dumbed down and far less fun than Deus Ex 1. Iron Star has wiped whatever good points they had made after the flop that is Daikatana, and totally view the same way I viewed them when Daikatana first came out. Of course, Thief fans should expect Thief 3 to be nothing but a flop, which it was. I think it was worse than this. After all, Warren Spector said himself he never liked the gameplay of the series. Okay, here, a step back from the original Deus Ex. I was a huge fan of the original Deus Ex game. I thought it was one of the most innovative games I've ever played. There was plenty to do and lots of places to go. This game was truly robust and mostly non-linear, and yes, Deus Ex was fucking awesome. That's why I played it. And, saw screenshots and read publication reviews of Deus Ex 2 and thought it would be incredible. And it was. An incredible disappointment. What was once a good game has been completely stripped naked and left in the gutter. Compared to the original Deus Ex, Invisible War isn't even half-baked. It's more like 1/10 baked. It's so horribly simplified, which is what happens when they make these type of games on a console first rather than the PC. Take my advice, save your money. Do not buy Deus Ex Invisible War. Instead, go send your money in the original Deus Ex. You get a hell of a lot more enjoyment for your money, and the original is very cheap now. First, let me say that unless you patch the game, you won't be playing it right out of the box. Unpatched, this game is crappy and choppy. Even with the patch, it still sucks. At least it's somewhat playable. Yeah, and like I said, it took me forever to even get the fucking thing to run. Graphics and textures are fair. The character models are only fair. The cutscenes are bordering on poor. It's like some old kung fu movie here. Voices and model lips don't even sync up with the speech. Everything is oversized. The textures are dull and boring and simplified. I had a texture pack, so the graphics in the original game were a lot worse. It looked good in mine simply because I had that texture pack. It still looks only average. Sound and music bad for both. The music is boring and the sound effects stink. There isn't much variety of anything. Again, complete freakdom of console ported game. There isn't much as far as environmental effects and sounds go. All the weapons and sounds could be better. There's nothing catching about them. Playability and content poor. Everything is just oversimplified and all the objects are oversized. Plants, chairs, benches, etc. Oh god, the fucking... yeah, the floatiness of everything and the bodies. Whatever. All the rooms are so small you could suffer from claustrophobia. If you're in trouble. Environmental effects and objects are so lacking. All the rooms practically look the same and are so plain. Most rooms have a table, a chair, and some bookshelves, and maybe a few plants. Yeah. Some may actually contain a stupid coffee maker or a box. The original Deus Ex had loads of things to mess around with. In Deus Ex Invisible War, you can't even interact with all the objects. Now only a few. It's so stupid. They tried to market Deus Ex as Invisible War as non-linear, but it's only the most linear games I've ever played. You hardly have any choice. Your character automatically accepts just about everyone's task or mission that an NPC gives you. In Deus Ex, at least you have the option to pick a response for most conversations. Also, in Invisible War, you can't force open any locks or doors. But you can blow most of them open if you have a rocket launcher or grenades. Deus Ex, you could smash some open instead. You always have to instead of always having to pick the locks. There isn't any reason to explore any rooms in Deus Ex Invisible War. Desks and cabinets are solid objects. It's where Deus Ex you could actually open the drawers and such looking for items. In Invisible War, if you knock someone out, you can kill them by throwing a chair at them. But if you pick up a body and start tossing it around, they will never die. I tossed an unconscious body into the air, and it plummeted several stories and didn't die. Throwing it again against the wall or other objects didn't do anything. The NPCs seem to always know when you've done something wrong. Shot someone with the weapon caught a bolt caster, which struck someone instead of killing them, eventually knocking them out. Nobody saw me do it, yet everyone turned hostile. Yeah? That fucking lady, she was bitching at me and praising me. And schizophrenic. I don't think I left that in. I think I cut that part out. The inventory system sinks. You only have a very limited number of items you can carry, whereas Deus Ex had a greater inventory capacity. The heads-up display in Deus Ex Invisible War is stupid. It takes up too much of the screen, and layout is just horrible. It's arched on both sides of the screen. In Deus Ex, you earn skill points for doing tasks, completing missions, or just exploring, and then you would use them to upgrade your character stats. Not so in Deus Ex Invisible War. They completely removed that. The weapons in Invisible War are boring. The sound effects are bad. They just don't fit. Probably one of the only true decent aspects was the ragdoll effects. At least they got that right. Yeah, didn't hold up very well. The endings are stupid and short, a true letdown. Again, you must install a patch or the game won't even run. You need to modify the default file to remove a mouse lag. Also note that the game always loads its default video and sound settings when you start, but if you change them and save your game while playing, when you load the game it won't load any changes you made. You can't control you can't fix your controls to whatever you want. The horrible, horrible console point. It's stripped down. Deus Ex sheep's clothing. Oh, what a bleak and horrible future we live in. Here finally is Deus Ex Invisible War, the sequel to the excellent multiple Game of the Year award winner and one of my favorite games of all time, Deus Ex. Fortunately, this Deus Ex doesn't compare to its X. We'll break down a few pros and many, many, many cons of this game in a second, but first let me say this. Before writing a review for the game, I go around the internet and read other people's reviews for that game. Not only see what other people liked and disliked about it, but how those match my own opinions, but also make sure that I cover as many aspects of the game as I can. By reading the comments of other people, I make sure I don't forget any parts or aspects of the game, and thus make my review as wholesome and inclusive as possible. I also want to mention I try to make my reviews as unbiased and unobjective as possible. Try and maintain both good and bad of the game in a balanced manner, and avoid getting stuck up on one particular thing that I don't like that is in itself insignificant. Why the long introduction? Well, as I said, I've read many reviews about this game, so there's to be only two kinds of feeling towards it. People either really loved it or they really hated it. So the point of all this talk is this. This review is very negative, but I'm not going to say that I hated the game, try to flame it in any way. Instead, I will try to form a proper argument explaining why this game is not good, try to show why many of the positive things mentioned in other places of the game are in fact incorrect. But enough mumbo jumbo, let's begin this game plot and story, since those are supposedly its strongest selling points. A compelling story where your actions determine the course of the plot and ultimately the fate of the world. You might see that sentence or something similar mentioned in many places. It's completely false. Issue the first. The story. Deus Ex Invisible War does indeed tell a great story, but it's not great in the sense that it's grid and enjoyable, such as the example of when you eat some really good cake. You say, man, this cake is great. It's great in the sense that it deals, or at least tries to, with great ideas. Profound subjects that have indeed shaped and continue to shape our lives. This game is a medium, however, is very, very weak. The story is told plainly without any good development and never really engages the player's thought process. The fact that the world is near the end is laid out so casually that you'd think it happens every day. Adding to the dullness of this fact that your main character and pretty much every other character world rarely shows any emotion of any kind to the events happening around them. I mean, this is the guy that holds the fate of the world in his hands. The best he can come up with is, oh, look into it. Heaven forbid he should ever show any sign of excitement. Sure, he has led a life where caring and understanding were not part of the daily diet, but still, as a mostly human being, he should still realize that there are big things happening here. I guess I should be saying she. Another factor which seriously hurts the story development is the fact that the game itself is very short. You never really get into it. There are very few side quests, even the very fewer main missions. You start out on your journey, before you know it, you reach the finish line. Why are you here? Who knows? What are you doing here? I don't know. The game's plot development is similar to a roller coaster ride. It tries to throw as much as possible at you as fast as possible, brief and to the point. Unfortunately, though, telling kind of a dark, intriguing tale full of world of conspiracies, you really need to take your time, let the player absorb what's happened. Like I said, you really should have let you take like 3 or 4 days before you even fucking, get the attack on the school. You should hear